Cheat Code Support Strategist by My Head in the Clouds Not Coming Down. Read by Rat Overlord. Chapter 80 Power. Summary. The test of courage begins. Shigaraki didn't waste any time getting to the point.
I want house arrest and witness protection.
The cat on his shoulder meowed in agreement, following that up with a threatening hiss in Netsu's direction. Witness protection we can guarantee, Netsu said calmly. House arrest depends entirely on your information. You've killed quite a lot of people. Shigaraki groaned.
I know that. And, for the record, I know it might not be possible, but All for One picked me up when I was 5-years-old and wandering on the streets. Is it too much to ask for a second chance at a normal life?
His sensei raised him to be a killer.
Shoto cut in.
He was groomed to be the next incarnation of the man who took him in, so it wasn't something he chose. Which is something that we'll keep in mind when considering his sentence,
Tsukauchi said.
But that depends on what information he can give us.
How about the identity of your mole, Trapper?
Shigaraki offered.
I bet you never thought to look past Minoru Minetta's little act to see what he was really hiding. I can tell you pretty much everything he's passed along so far. Is that good enough?
Netsu and Tsukauchi exchanged a glance.
It's a start.
Has anyone seen Minetta? Mandalay asked, passing out the students' phones as a precaution so that they could contact the teachers in case anything happened during the exercise. I keep reaching out to tell him that it's time to begin, but I can't find him anywhere.
Let's just start without him,
Tiger said sternly.
There's no reason for the rest of the students to miss out just because he wasn't responsible enough to show up on time.
Mandalay sighed. I guess you're right. All right, kids, listen up. You're going to take turns scaring and being tested. Class 1B will be the scarers this first round, and Class 1A will have to endure. Pixie Bob took over. Class 1A, you'll be split into groups of 2. Your goal is to get a piece of paper from Ragdoll on the other end of the school and bring it back here. Class 1B, you may divide however you would like, but your goal is to scare your classmates out of their pants. And that's it. Monoma laughed. Oh, this is going to be a piece of cake.
I don't know,
Tiger said vaguely.
They might just surprise you. Also, we convinced the support course to help out, and they'll be working to scare both groups too, so there might be a few more surprises waiting for you.
Bakugo grumbled.
I swear to God if it's glitter again.
All right, Pixie Bob interrupted. Scarers, get out there. The rest of you, just draw lots to find out your pairs. Isuku and Mei had set up camp in Isuku's workroom, his big computer already linked to the camera feed so that they could see all the students. The little spider trackers the Mei had made were hanging out in little groups throughout the school, but most of them were hanging around the beginning, ready to latch onto the students without them even knowing, their camera feeds taking up the third screen. Isuku and Melissa had both told her that adding cameras to the spider bots was redundant, but she'd thrown them in anyways, so they might as well have the feed pulled up, even if they weren't going to use it. The pussycats were still giving instructions, so they were just stuck in that awkward waiting phase between action and anxiety that Isuku absolutely hated. It didn't help that he was kind of freaking out about the other things too. Hitoshi and Ochako seemed closer somehow than they did before, and he'd overheard one of the other Hero Course students saying that Hitoshi had asked her out. Didn't that mean that they were dating now? Just like everyone thought Isuku and Mei were dating? Wait, what did it mean to date anyways? It was supposed to happen when someone liked someone else, right? Or at least liked them more than other people. Maybe that wasn't quite right? Isuku's mouth fell open in a quiet, oh. Maybe it wasn't that he was supposed to like Mei more, but that he liked her differently than everyone else. And that was true. Isuku liked Hitoshi and Ochako, obviously, but they didn't hold the same place as Mei. She was his partner in crime, and he didn't think anyone could ever even come close to replacing her as that. Was that what liking somebody meant? Okay, I can see that you're overthinking from here. Mei poked him in the side. What's on your mind, Izuku-kun? Isuku hummed and hawed for a moment.
I think I might like you.
Mei rolled her eyes. I like you too, Izuku. You wouldn't be my best friend if I didn't.
That's not what I meant.
Izuku mumbled.
I think I might like you romantically.
Mei's eyes widened. I don't think I heard that right, Izuku. Could you speak up?
Romantically.
Izuku blurted, blushing now.
I think I might like you romantically. I mean, maybe? I know you're really important to me and I can't imagine my life without you, but it's more than that, you know? It's that I want you by my side as my partner for the rest of, well, I mean, we're still young, so things might change, but at least for now, and...
The crosshairs in Mei's eyes narrowed as she zoomed in on his face. Really? You're not lying? Izuku shook his head.
I know neither of us are really used to people actually liking us, especially not in that way, but I don't know. People already think we're dating, and I guess, well, I'm not opposed to that maybe being the truth.
Mei grinned and grabbed his hand. It would definitely be a lot more fun! Izuku chuckled awkwardly and squeezed her hand.
So, does this mean you're my girlfriend now?
Mm-hmm! Mei nodded. And you're my boyfriend now because I feel the same way. I never want to lose you. Ever. You're stuck with me and my babies forever. Got it? Izuku smiled widely.
That sounds absolutely perfect.
Good! Mei nodded in satisfaction before turning back to the screens. Ooh, they're starting! Ochako watched Kota out of the corner of her eye as he glared at her classmates. He really seemed to hate heroes, and she wasn't quite sure why, but from the way he'd reacted when Hitoshi had brainwashed the pussycats, it probably had something to do with heroes putting themselves in danger all the time, and that just made her feel worse about the whole thing. Maybe she could find a way to make it up to him, but at the same time, he'd probably prefer it if she never talked to him again, so she just didn't know what to do. This was one of those things where she couldn't just ask Izuku and Mei for advice because both of them were even more useless in social situations than she and Hitoshi were, and Mina tended to be a little bit too pushy, which definitely wouldn't go over well.
He'll be fine. Don't worry about it,
Mandalay said softly.
His parents were heroes, and he blames them for leaving him behind. Seeing us in danger just brought back bad memories is all. But he's a strong boy, and we're here to help him, assuming that he accepts our help.
I'm sorry, Ochako muttered. Mandalay gave her a sad smile.
You didn't know. He'll understand one day. It's just hard for a little boy when everyone seems to celebrate his parents' deaths, just because they died as heroes.
She patted Ochako's shoulder and sighed. Well, it's time for you and Asui to get going. Don't let the other class scare you too badly, all right? Ochako smiled and popped her knuckles. Oh, don't worry. I think I've got it covered. Minetta weaved his way through the tunnels and made his way up from the basement. While the rest of his class were busy doing that stupid test of courage, he was busy visiting every single backup generator and busting it by pouring sugar inside that he'd stolen from the kitchens. Now that he cut the power, the generators would fail just as quickly and the doors would be wide open for the League. Now, he could just find all the power switches, but that would take time that he didn't have as Shigaraki was already spilling his guts. Finding Kaminari was so much simpler. He kept to the tunnels until he saw a shock of yellow and black hair through the vents, then went a little farther and popped out into the hall. He made sure that the door was closed before running to catch up.
Hey, Kaminari, wait up!
Minetta!
Kaminari grinned.
You made it!
Yeah.
Minetta lied.
The pussycats told me to just run up ahead and join your group. Well then, be looking out for 1B.
Kirishima said.
They're supposed to pop out and scare us any second. Well then, maybe we should scare them first.
Minetta turned to Kaminari.
Why don't you show them what you can really do?
Kaminari frowned.
What are you talking about?
Blow out the power.
Minetta shrugged.
It'll be dark, so we can scare all of them and it'll set the mood. Plus, Kirishima's strong enough to take care of you, and they're going to be impossible to scare if you're dumb.
I don't know whether to be offended or impressed, dude.
Kaminari whistled.
That's really smart.
Minetta seethed internally.
Thanks, man. But, won't we get in trouble?
Kirishima asked.
I mean, blowing out the power is kind of a big deal. Nah, there's backup generators, and they can always just reset the system.
Kaminari insisted, walking to the nearest plug.
This is going to be epic!
He took out a paperclip and jammed it in the socket, sparking as he maxed out his power output. The lights flickered once and then went out.
It's really dark.
Kirishima fretted.
Aren't the emergency generators supposed to kick on or something?
Minetta didn't answer. He just chuckled silently to himself as he used the sudden darkness to steal Kaminari's phone and slip away. Hitoshi wasn't sure that having all the lights go out at once had been the original plan, but he thought it was a nice touch. It definitely made the place more spooky, but he was pretty sure that at least some of the lights were supposed to stay on in case of an emergency. He'd partnered with Oshiro, who looked like he had a very fight response when it came to fight or flight, so they would probably be alright. Class 1B sounded like they had some pretty creepy quirks from what he'd heard from Isuku's ramblings when he was working on their analysis packets. But Isuku's analysis could make anyone's quirk sound terrifying, so yeah. Hopefully, the students they ran into were still working on implementing Isuku's advice and hadn't quite leveled their quirks up to eldritch horror levels yet.
Ugh.
Oshiro groaned behind him as Hitoshi turned around.
My tail caught in one of Minetta's gross little balls. Pretty sure he lost his head the second things got scary and just tossed his balls everywhere in panic. Yeah.
Hitoshi laughed, then froze.
Wait a minute. Minetta wasn't a part of the exercise.
Oshiro stopped pulling.
What? Minetta wasn't part of the exercise.
Hitoshi repeated.
He didn't show up, remember? So he shouldn't be here.
Oshiro frowned. What are you... Hitoshi saw something moving through the shadows and lunged to tackle Oshiro out of the way, but before he could, a storm of purple balls flew out of the shadows. He managed to dodge most of them, but he took a step back and stepped on one, anchoring his foot to the floor. Hitoshi immediately took off his shoe, but that meant that he wasn't looking where the next volley of balls came from and stuck themselves all over his clothes. He tried tearing off his shirt, but the balls stuck to each other and to his hands, so all he managed was to get himself even more trapped. A shape dashed out of the shadows and Minetta punched him in the back of the knees, forcing him down to the floor and sticking him even more completely. Hitoshi stared at Minetta in shock.
Since when are you actually good at fighting?
Since I got here.
Minetta snapped.
But you, like everyone else my whole life, were too busy underestimating me to even notice. Just like you never noticed I was working for the villains.
He turned his attention to Oshiro.
And yet, everyone loves you, tail boy. But what about without it, huh? How will you fight now?
Oshiro tensed and raised his arms.
I've got 4 limbs, you traitor! What did you do?
I cut the power.
Minetta said.
And poured sugar into the emergency generators. This whole place's security system is run on electricity. Without it, the villains can just walk right in. And honestly, I don't even have to fight you, you idiots. I've got what I came for.
Oshiro's eyes narrowed.
And what is that?
Minetta pulled a spray bottle out of his bag and got to work spraying the balls attaching Hitoshi to the floor.
Bait!
As he sprayed them, the balls turned green and took on a mossy appearance, and something clicked in Hitoshi's brain.
You're a trapper. Cheat code was right. Todoroki wasn't the traitor.
Why the fuck would Todoroki be the traitor?
Minetta scoffed.
He doesn't have the range. Do you know how hard it is to keep everyone from seeing my true colors? Pretending that I was more interested in the girls than the info I was getting every day? Todoroki could never.
Hitoshi flailed as Minetta tried to pick him up, but he felt the pinch of a needle at his neck and a cold numbness started radiating out from the point.
What did you do?
Muscle relaxant.
Minetta bragged.
Only works for a few minutes, but that's more than enough time to get the great cheat code to come save you. Now, come on. We've got to trap this set.
Hitoshi fell asleep listening to Oshiro call out for help. Minetta traitor revealed. You know, not gonna lie, I honestly prefer Minetta as a villain to his actual, canon character. At least, as a villain, he has some depth, you know? But anyways, if you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like or comment down below, because I always love hearing from you guys. And make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with whenever I post. And here's your little daily reminder to go hydrate, you little rat gremlins.